man. There it is. Is it live? It is live. There it is. Okay, cool. Let me just post about it real quick. That. Cool. We got 5 people in here so far. Nice. Just tell my. You ever heard?
I'm not. What? It's weird. I'm not seeing it.
You might have to refresh my Twitch page. Are you on like twitch.tv
Yeah.
slash Danfonce? Yeah, just refresh it. So I have it pulled up on my laptop, so it's showing up live.
Huh.
So sometimes Twitch can be weird.
Yeah, because on mine it's saying you're offline.
Still? Try to refresh one more time. Oh, what's up, Daryl? What's up, Jamie? Still nothing?
No.
What the fuck?
Assuming I have the right one.
Yeah, it's my Danfonce Twitch, right?
Ah, there we go.
All right. Yeah, sometimes it takes a second. What's up, Jay? Doing good, man. Yeah, is the chat box showing up for you on the side?
Yep.
Yeah. All right. Cool.
I got it.
Very nice. Awesome. Let's make sure. Where's my OBS? Here we go. Check. Oh, that's good. Levels are good. All right. I was going to do one more thing. You ever heard of Discord? You ever heard of that thing? Discord?
No.
It's kind of like you can make servers on it. Like people can make servers, or bands can too, and you invite people to. It's like a message board in a sense. It's pretty rad.
Cool.
If I have one of those, just tell everyone. There we go. So yeah, so how are you enjoying downtime?
As good as I can.
Unexpected downtime.
Trying to keep busy as much as I can.
Same. That's why I've been.
I just got my son his first Xbox today,
Man.
which is also probably partially for me.
Of course.
So I'll get a lot less done.
Have you been playing any games on it yet?
Not yet. I just got the MLB the RBI 20 for it. He really wanted what's the one they've been playing?
What kind of game is it?
Oh, the show.
The show.
He really wanted that MLB the Show. It's on PlayStation.
Okay. Oh, it's on PlayStation.
It's the one that. Yeah, it's the one that, like, while baseball's been down, the actual players have been playing it, like doing like live games, like a player from each team.
Really?
They were actually like covering on ESPN and stuff, like who was leading and who was in the playoffs. And my son really wanted that one, but at the same time, he wanted an Xbox.
He wanted an Xbox over the PlayStation,
and they don't have. Yeah, so we had to just get the other baseball game.
That's fine. Yeah, I've been playing. It's funny because when growing up, I had PlayStation 1. I got PlayStation 1 when it like first came out for my birthday, and then I got Nintendo 64 and all that. But I guess as I got older, I never got PlayStation 2 or 3. I had the first Xbox for a little bit, but when I just started when I was younger in bands, I started touring, and then I started touring with other bands, and then I became an agent. I just never played video games anymore. It was never the
Yeah.
case anymore
Yeah, I'm the
until
same
like
thing.
last Black Friday. I was like, me and my girlfriend were like, let's just go to Target and see how it is. Like, because we were just like bored at home. So I was like, all right, let's go. And then I saw like the PlayStation 4 bundle deal, and I'm like, man, $200 for all this shit. And I'm like, all right, I'm gonna go get one. So that's when I got a PS4, and then started playing here and there. I still, with booking and stuff, I just was still. It takes up a lot of my time, and the label as well, because I work for Unique Leader, so that too. And then when all this happened with the pandemic, I just started playing video games more, and I literally switched. I sold my iMac and bought a PC, and and then I just started like getting more into like Call of Duty and like The Last of Us and God of War and a bunch of other games, Grand Theft Auto, Escape from
Yeah.
Tarkov.
Oh, I mean, I'm so far behind
Oh
that
yeah, same
there's
though.
so much that's happened in the gaming world that like I'm really anxious to like try stuff out
Yeah,
and
there's
see
so
where.
many.
I mean, I've always been a fan of like sports games and stuff because I could just kill hours
Oh
and
yeah,
hours doing it.
it'll fly by.
But other than that, I mean, it's
Yeah.
just like, I mean, most of my time, we've just been working on this, trying to get the Zao record
Oh yeah,
done.
that's right. How far along are you guys? Is it just in the mixing
I mean,
process, or
it,
it
yeah,
is?
I actually just today got what I would consider the first round of final
Yeah.
mixes. We're to the point now where it's like little tiny notes that we're sending back. Like, hey,
Oh,
turn
okay.
Dan's vocals up at 1 minute 25
Just like
seconds.
little edits.
And yeah, just like turn the guitar down here, bring this part out. Like all the tones are there. Uh, I mean, the thing that's funny is the record was supposed to be out
Yeah,
now.
that's right. Like
Like
literally
it was going to
now.
be out early
Wait,
July,
shouldn't you?
and
You guys should have been on tour right now. Was it the
yeah,
West Coast run right now? Yeah.
yeah, we would have been on the West Coast.
Yeah, like literally everything.
And but
Yeah.
yeah, the studio where we were mixing, they had to shut down when everything started, and so we just kind of pumped the brakes a little
Yeah.
bit. And now we're just taking our time. I think it worked out better. I feel like before we were on a little bit of a time
Yeah.
crunch to get everything done and out, and now we're just kind of like, we'll
Hmm.
put it out early
Yeah, it's
next
probably
year.
the smart move. There's a bunch of bands that are pushing their records back till next year. It's,
Yeah, that's the other thing I was thinking about too. I'm like,
yeah,
oh
it's
man,
gonna
we're
be
just going to be
yeah.
competing with
That's how
everybody.
it is with like tours getting rescheduled from this year. A lot of tours that were gonna happen like this summer or this fall, got
Yeah,
rescheduled for next year. I mean, there's still like a good amount that are not even announced yet. They got
right.
rescheduled, but they're not announced yet. And but it's like, what do? You put it out like this fall, and it just gets buried by all the other shit going on in the world. Which is
Right.
understandable for that to happen. And then
Well, we also don't even know if like pressing plants would be like we don't
I
know
forget,
how
yeah,
open they're going to
that's
stay.
the other thing.
Like that's the other thing
Yeah.
too.
So who do you guys press your vinyl through usually? You,
We've typically been using Brooklyn
okay,
Phono.
yeah, I've heard of them. Yeah,
Uh, I like them because I can practically walk over
yeah,
there.
that's nice.
Like based on, I mean,
Yeah,
I
they're right
can
there.
when there's test presses ready, they're like your test presses are ready, and I
That's
pretty much walk over and pick them up.
that's convenient.
Same thing with shipping
Yeah,
them. Like, I don't know if we're going to do this one there or not. This is going to be a double
mm,
vinyl, and there's some stuff we want to do with it that we might go
yeah,
elsewhere. Not because we don't like them, just for logistic
mm-hmm.
reasons.
Makes
Uh,
sense.
so I don't know.
That's cool. That's good. I mean, who else have you used it before? You ever used like Pirate Press?
Well, not technically. I mean,
Oh, okay.
Pirate Press pretty much is
I'm
like
mostly familiar
they're a
with them.
broker. Yeah, they're a broker, and most of their stuff gets pressed by GZ
Oh,
in the Czech
oh,
Republic,
really? Okay.
uh, which is who we did the Funeral of God reissue with.
Oh,
We went directly to
oh, you
GZ.
did. Okay.
Like,
Yeah.
yeah,
I was just
yeah. Usually, if you get, I think Pirates Press uses other plants sometimes, but their default is to use
really
GZ
okay.
in the Czech
I
Republic.
didn't know that. I thought they did it and like they did it all here.
I don't think. I think the
Wow.
only thing that they actually do here, I may be wrong, is the
Oh,
Flexies.
okay. No shit.
Because I think they're the ones that do all the flexi
Oh, wow.
discs, like the
That's a
Decibel
whole.
flexis. I think the
Yeah. No
Pirates Press.
shit. Okay.
Uh,
That's great. Crazy.
Yeah. So we've used GZ for the Funeral of God reissue and the Reformat Reboot remix that we just did, mostly because they were able to do the picture discs
Okay.
at a reasonable price for us. And I think the new reissues for the Tooth and Nail stuff are going through United.
Okay.
I'm not crazy about that, but
is Tooth and Nail putting those out?
That
they are.
Yes.
Okay.
In cooperation with us.
Obviously. Yeah.
I mean, we're involved.
You're very much involved with it.
It's like Tooth and Nail / unoriginal vinyl /
you guys. Cool. When is that supposed to? Is that getting pushed too? Probably.
No. I mean they got delayed a little bit. There was an issue with the Splinter Shards test press, and when it had to be rejected, the plant was closed.
Oh shit!
Because of COVID. So. And they were being Splinter and Blood and Fire were being done as a package deal.
Okay.
So Splinter was held up, so was Blood and Fire.
Yeah.
They're being pressed as we speak, as far as I know. And as what I think the plan is when they're done, us and Tooth and Nail will roll it out like almost immediately.
Really?
Like it won't be a big pre-order. It'll be like, here they are. They're shipping in the next 2 weeks. Wow. Kind of deal.
Well, that's pretty cool. People will be like stoked about that. I feel like that'll make people buy it right away.
Yeah. I mean, we have a feeling they're going to go really fast anyway, but there's not going to be a huge, it's not going to be like, oh, pre-order this and it'll show up in your door in 3 months. It's going to be, order this and it's shipping within the next 2 or 3 weeks.
Beautiful.
And we'll know that they're in hand.
Yeah, exactly. What's LJ? What's Jeff's most memorable tour story? Do you have one? Is that one? I know. There has to be.
Most memorable.
I feel like that's a tough
one. There's
one.
a few. I think. I mean, the craziest one with Zao was we were on tour with. It was the tour we did right after we were done recording The Fear.
Okay. Yeah.
And we were out with, it was us, In Flames, Devil Driver, and Trivium.
Wow, that's a crazy tour.
It was an insane
that's
tour.
Wild to me.
And it was one of those tours where it was In Flames and Trivium it was a bus tour essentially.
Okay. Was it over here?
And we were in a van.
It was over here. Okay.
And it was in like late January through the end of February. It's like a 6-week tour. It pretty much started on the West Coast and then crossed over to the East Coast. But I remember it was late January and we were playing in Seattle.
Okay.
We had a day off the next day technically, but on that tour that was when we were in we were in like play every day mode. So every day that the In Flames tour had off, we would book an off show.
Your own show.
So we had to get from Seattle to Boise.
Oh, well. Yeah, it's a little hike.
we left Seattle after the show, and it was late January, and I remember it was raining really bad in Seattle, but it was actually kind of warm. Okay. And we were just driving maybe an hour and a half after the show just to get out of Seattle, just get over the mountain.
Get through that bullshit.
We had a hotel booked. Yeah, because we had to get up early the next day to get to Boise. And I remember it was an hour and a half drive, and for whatever reason, I fell asleep in the back seat of the van. Our tour manager was driving, and I just remember I'm like half asleep, my headphones on, and I just remember getting this nauseating feeling in my stomach. And I sit up, and all I saw was white, and we were spinning. And what happened is we had driven, and we were trying to get over Snoqualmie Pass.
Yeah.
I don't know if you're familiar.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's basically, and there was a massive whiteout snowstorm that was only happening in like a 2-mile stretch, and we drove into it. We spun out. The van and trailer just kind of wedged into like a 10-foot wall of snow on the side of the highway. There were like 18-wheelers just blazing past us. a truck driver stopped. He used his 18-wheeler, and there was a state cop there, and was stopping traffic. And they used the 18-wheeler to nudge our van and trailer
Wow.
so that we could get unjammed.
Wow.
And they were like, "Yeah, there's an exit like 200 feet up.
Mm-hmm.
Like you should pull over, like get off
Yeah.
the road."
Go
So we
hang
pull up
out.
to the exit, literally coast down like this ice road. There's a hotel there. Now it's the off season. No one's going to this
Yeah.
hotel. To get into the hotel, we drove through a tunnel of snow. The snow was so deep they had actually dug a tunnel in it
They dug a tunnel
to get into the parking lot. Like you drove through this. So we drive in. We go into the hotel, and the hotel there's like guys in there. It's like this guy and his dog. It's like maybe like 2:30 in the morning. The guy's wearing a sweatshirt that has a horse, and the horse is shitting out money. I just remember that image on his sweatshirt. And there was like a giant, chandelier in the lobby of the hotel that was made out of nothing but deer antlers.
Incredible.
And it was just so creepy.
Yeah.
And like we're just like, we need a room.
Yeah,
Rooms like, and he's like, oh yeah, and he's just like, oh well, the computer's resetting, so we had to like sit there forever. And the hotel had this like total Shining vibe to it. I remember we go to the hotel room, we look out the window, and it was just snow.
Yeah, just blocking the window.
You couldn't see. We're saying to the guy, we're like, well, we have to like get to Boise tomorrow. Like, do you know what this weather is supposed to be like? He's like, oh, we're supposed to be getting like 6 to 10 tonight.
Oh.
And we're like, oh, 6 to 10 inches. And he's like, no, feet.
Feet?
And we're like, what? He's like, don't worry. He's like, we're used to it here. The roads will be cleared by like 6 a.m.
How?
And like we woke up at 7 and we drove out, and the roads were clear, but there was snow everywhere.
Oh,
and literally we drove maybe a mile and a half, and all of a sudden we were at the bottom of the hill, and like the sun came out.
What the fuck, dude?
And there was like no snow to be seen. We just happened to get stuck. But I mean, that was the closest I ever came to dying on a tour. And that's why we started putting in our February north of the Mason-Dixon line touring rule.
Yeah, I have a bunch of bands that are just like, we're not going to tour in December, January, and if we are, it has to be in the South, or we're just going to do regional shit, And I'm like, I totally
and then
get it.
It dawned on us years later that where we almost died in that hotel we stayed was basically where they filmed Twin Peaks.
Get out of here, really? That's where they filmed it?
Because we're all huge Twin Peaks fans, and we're like, this town is creepy.
Yeah, and that's where they filmed it.
And I'm like, that's essentially like the Twin Peaks town.
Holy shit, man.
With From Autumn to Ashes, my best tour story is when we played.
Let's go to that one.
I want to say it was the Download Fest. I think we were playing Download, and we played right about 2 or 3 bands before Typo Negative.
Wow.
And I remember we played, got off stage, I go back to the dressing room, and I'm sitting there, and fucking Pete Steele walks in, all like 7 feet. And he comes over, and he shakes my hand. He's like, I really liked your set.
Wow.
And I'm like, oh, thanks. And he's just like, that was really good. He's like, maybe we'll tour together someday. He's like, we'll be your roadies. And I'm just like standing there. I'm like, you're fucking Pete Steele. Like, why are you even watching us?
You sure you like this? You like this?
Well, I mean, I think he knew that the band was the band. They knew that the band was like New York guys.
Okay. Yeah.
And, we saw them, like, kept running into them on that European tour. Like, would run. Yeah, we were in like Hamburg, and like we like ran into them, and like on the streets of Hamburg, and they're like all drunk and like
fucked up,
yelling at people, trying to pick fights, and just being crazy.
So what? Yeah.
But that was really mind blowing.
That is crazy. That would blow me.
Because he like walked up to us. He
came up to you.
And he was just such an intimidating, just monstrous presence.
I've never seen Typo before.
Oh, they're great.
Never seen.
I didn't really appreciate them as much until I saw them, because I don't realize how much, because their stuff always came across as like deadly serious, like almost to the point of it veering into comedy. But it wasn't until you actually see them that you realize that like they get the comedy too.
They do.
Like that band really did have a sense of humor.
That is fun.
Like they opened up with a cover of the Beatles' Magical Mystery Tour at the Download Fest. And it was completely awesome, but also completely ridiculous.
Yeah, no, that is completely ridiculous. Wow. So what's so From All the Ashes is writing a new record, right? Or or
We're writing songs.
songs, yeah. Because it's been a while,
or
right?
whether yeah,
It's been a long time.
I think the last record came out. I joined right as they were finishing up the last studio album, the Holding a Wolf.
Yeah.
So I did all the touring on that. I was on a live album.
Oh, I know what you're
I did all the touring, and then we started writing.
Yeah.
And then Fran and Brian decided to dissolve the band.
Just sort of kind of burnt out
while we were writing. Sort of, yeah. It wasn't that we weren't getting along. It was there was a lot of like, we had there was a bad manager that had run up a lot. There was a lot of debt that was run up. And so there was that stuff that was always happening. We were in the process of renewing the contract with Vagrant.
Oh, okay.
So we weren't technically committed yet.
Yeah.
So it's like, well, before we commit, but we were writing.
Yeah, you really.
And actually, when we broke up, Fran and Rob started that band, Warship.
Yeah, I remember.
And the Warship record, there's maybe 2 or 3 songs on there that were from Autumn to Ashes songs that we were writing. Like we had a demo phase that they finished out, and
they used for that band.
So that Warship record probably, it's very possible the next From Autumn to Ashes record would have been very similar to that.
So what year was that? When it all? I forget.
That would have been. I think that came out in 2008.
Oh shit!
Yeah, we stopped touring in 2000. It would have been early 2008, and that Warship record came out, I think, that fall.
Yeah, I discovered.
So we even went over to the studio. The studio they did the Warship record out. We actually went to the studio. It was with Andrew Schneider.
Okay. Yeah.
It was good producing, and we actually went to the studio, meeting with him as if he was doing a From Autumn to Ashes record. Shit. It was that far along.
Wow.
So and then we did some From Autumn to Ashes reunion shows in 2015.
5 years ago. Yeah.
And then we just kind of. Everybody was waiting for somebody else to make the phone call.
It was one of those situations.
When are we going to do it again?
Yeah.
So this time we're like, well, if we're going to do it, let's make some new music.
Might as well, right?
So.
Yeah, I was stoked for the one main thing this year I was like really stoked for was Furnace Fest. That shit, when that started coming together, and I remember Ryan from the fest hitting me up. And I was like, wow, Furnace Fest. I remember when it first hit me up, I was like, wow, I haven't heard that name in a while, And I was like, is this real? And then when it started to come together, it confirmed Zao on it, and then confirmed Evergreen Terrace on it. And, then I started hearing about like the other bands confirming. I was like, holy shit. This is going to be like just a flashback to when I was like a kid. I remember when I first discovered From All the Ashes it was like 2003? Was it 2003? Something like that. When did the first record come out?
That would have been 2001.
It was one. So it was like 2002 or 3. I remember I went to a show at the Chance in Poughkeepsie, New York. That's where I grew up.
I know the Chance. Yeah.
That show was stacked. I discovered a handful of bands there. The one band I was only familiar with was Hatebreed. Hatebreed played. And the other bands were From On the Ashes, Poison the Well, Most Precious Blood, Converge, and Shadows Fall. It was just this stacked bill. It was insane. And my friend Alex was just like, yo, we got to go to this show. I'm like, well, I know who Hatebreed is, so yeah, I'm down. And I remember seeing From On the Ashes, and I was just like, yo, this is fucking awesome. And I remember just going to FYE and ordering the CD because they didn't have it in stock. Crazy shows back. Yeah, but Furnace Fest. I'm happy it's gonna, it got rescheduled. I hope it still, goes down. I hope everything obviously gets better. Because that's.
They've been planning that for. We knew about.
Yeah, you knew about it.
We knew about Furnace Fest for 2 years
before you even told me.
It had to be.
Yeah, I think you hit me up. Was like, hey, they're gonna hit you up, and I was like, oh shit, okay, this is crazy to me.
But even when they asked us about it, like when they mentioned, I think they mentioned it to Scott in talking like 2 years before it happened. And I remember when they were saying about like, oh, they want to do it. And when we had heard some of the early wish lists of what they were going to try to do back then, and we're just like, there's no way you're going to get some of that stuff. And then when it actually came around and they actually started getting some of them, there was one that they told us about that I'm like, you're never getting that, and they didn't.
They didn't.
I don't know if they asked
there was
them or not, but it was
few that I heard that they were trying for, but they didn't. I was really hoping for Botch. Was that one of them? So there was something that came out recently about Botch. That
no, the one they told me about, and I'll say it because
right.
yeah, whatever. The one they told us about, they're like, oh, we're going to try to get Dillinger.
Oh, yeah, I heard that. Yeah, I'm like, it's too soon, man. It's too soon. Yeah. Maybe in like 5 years they'll do it, you know. But
they pulled out some other. They pulled out a couple other coups though that I was like, hey, that
when they said awesome. Beloved, because I loved Beloved growing up. When they said, announced them, I was just like, what the fuck, man. And then it just went from there, and it started exploding. And my friend Mike Zemer from Dallas, he started working with the guys from Furnace, helping them with the fest, because he was just telling me, like, it's been a while since those guys put together a fest, and everything has changed in the past, 10 years since they've done it. And he was telling me, he was just like, yeah, dude, all these other bands are starting to come over, like, wanting on the fest. Like, I was just like, this is nuts. But I get it, once you get a few to reunite that were, everyone loved back then others are going to be like, hey guys, let's just fucking do it,
Well, that's kind of, I mean, I remember when when they were first announcing the bands and the different waves, we were doing some of the initial, before we even announced we were going to do any shows, we were doing some of the From Autumn to Ashes, like, hey, let's get together and write kind of experimental rehearsals. And I remember the one night I was talking to Brian from the Brian Deneve, and I said, Brian, because he would get the offers all the time from different agents and stuff asking us to do shows. And I said, Brian, have you heard from Furnace Fest? And he's like, no. And I'm like, oh, that really shocks me, because it seems like they're reaching out to everybody. And then somebody had mentioned on one of the Furnace Fest like Twitter feeds or something like From Autumn to Ashes, and I posted as From Autumn to Ashes, and I said, nobody has asked us. And within like 8 hours, they wrote to Brian and said, hey, can From Autumn to Ashes play the fest?
That's so fucking funny. Yeah.
And I just told him, I'm like, I'll do it. But I told Brian, I'm like, you got to tell them whenever they do it, it has to be the same day as Zao.
It's the only way to make it work.
Just because I mean, like I said, Zao, we're like, hey, if we're going to do it, we're going to try at least play our way down, play our way back kind of thing. And I didn't want to have, the Zao guys sitting around for 2 days because I had to wait to do From Autumn to Ashes. Yeah.
Was there? Yeah, because you guys were just going to stay the one day you were going to play, right? Yeah. That was the plan. Yeah. So you got to get in and out pretty much. That's crazy though. Yeah, I can't wait for it. So hope everything happens, and then we can rebook some Zao shows. Yeah. Go back to that again. But let's see. When did we first start working together? Was that 2 years now? It was all because of Andy Rice.
Yeah.
The man.
Yeah. Yeah, because I think...
Was it 2 years? 2018?
I want to say, it was 2018, because when we first started playing in 2015 again, that was through Andy. Andy had approached us and said, hey, I have some offers. Let's get you guys playing again. And he was the one that got us moving again. I mean, we were always planning on recording stuff, and we were going to figure out the show thing later. Yeah. And then Andy reached out and he's like, I want to book you guys.
Did you know Andy
and he started.
Oh, not really.
I think Scott did somehow. I think Scott did roughly. Because we were working with the agency group before.
Yeah, that was before.
So Jeremy Holgerson used to book us. And he had been for a little bit. We'd do a thing occasionally here and there, but he just didn't have time for as active as we were.
Bigger bands.
And I think that's when Andy came forward and said, hey, whatever you guys want to do, I'll work with you guys. And then, I remember we got that call where he's like, yeah, I'm retiring.
Yeah.
It's like, I'm not going to. And we're just like, no, because we had just gotten
going.
We felt like we'd just gotten used to him.
Yeah, I know. I love Andy.
You barely had to say anything to him. He'd be like, here are the dates, and he knew
Yeah, I knew what to
exactly
do.
like what we needed, like how to do it,
Yeah,
uh,
when
and that was like, what are we gonna do? And he's like, I got a guy, I got a guy.
I remember it was when he called me and told me that he was getting out of being an agent. I was like, really? I'm like, do you have to do that? You're like one of like the handful of guys that I love working with, you know? And I'm like, I was like, I get it, you know, I get it. Because it is a pain in the ass. It's like, I mean, it took me years. I mean, I've been doing this for 14 years now, and it takes a while to like really, you got to make a name for yourself, connection. You know what I'm saying? You got to have, you got to
Yeah,
do a good job and, get that reputation of, hey, this guy does a good job. You know, he's not going to fuck you over.
right.
But anyway, yeah, I remember when he called me. I think he was kind of drunk, and he was like, because me and him at party, me and him would like, I'd go out to like L.A. and shit for like meetings or just hang out, and me and him would go out drink and get fucking, we get trashed, and I always had good times with Andy. But I remember he called me and he was kind of drunk, and he's like, "Yo, would you want to book Zao?" I'm like, "Why would you? You don't need to ask me that. You know the answer." He's like, "All right, cool. I'm gonna call the guys tomorrow and I'm gonna talk to them." And I'm like, "Okay, thank you."
Yeah, there was about a 12-hour period there where Scott and I were just like, what are we gonna
Yeah,
do? We're like, we just got this rolling, like we don't want to have to find another agent.
I
Like,
know.
how do we explain to people how we work? And Andy's like, Daniel already knows the deal. He gets
Yeah,
it. Like,
he explained to me your whole situation. I'm like, "Yeah, I'm fine with that." So there's a lot of bands that I work with
yeah,
that are like, part time and just do weekend shit, like Evergreen Terrace for another example. They'll do a show
yeah,
once in a blue moon. Zayo does more
right.
shows than Evergreen Terrace. And
Wow.
yeah, seriously, they'll do ones here and there, whatever, which is fine. I love the band, so it's like this is like to me, it's like, well, I grew up listening to these bands and I love these bands, so it's like, yeah, I'll do whatever you want. I don't give a shit. It's not really about the money. That's why I'm
Right.
like a lot of people like would look at my roster and be like, you have a lot of bands, and I'm like, well, if you actually go through it, you'll see, oh, this band does 6 shows a year, you
Right.
know,
Right.
and I book them because I'm just like, I love the band, and that's why, but
Well, and you're great too because because there's very bizarre reasons why we pick where we're going
oh, I know.
places. Like, and like we'll hit you and we'll be like, all right, we got these 4 days and include these 4 cities somehow.
Try to make this work.
And
I'm like,
it's not like it's not like, oh well, we should go play big markets.
yeah,
It's like, no, we gotta hit this town in Kentucky on this
yeah,
day
yeah,
because we're going to make a
yeah.
beer.
We're gonna make a
And then
beer.
and then we're gonna play a couple shows around that. And
But it's fun. Yeah, I mean that's the. I mean, I think how you guys go about it with touring, like with your shows, is like very smart. And it's like, hey, we got to find a band that we can use their equipment. It's like, all right, that's easy. So no one's gonna say no. Like whoever wants to tour with Zayo is gonna be like, yeah, you can
right,
use our shit, dude. Paying a little bit
yeah,
more than what they're
we
used
have to
to.
fly
Yeah,
places. It's like,
and it's a pain. You got to rent the van. You got
yeah,
to fly. You got to rent the van and all that shit. Bring it back. Fly home. Because everyone's kind of scattered, right? Where does everyone live again? Well, kind of not really
every
anymore, right?
yeah, when we first started getting active again, Dan, Scott, and Marty are all in Western
That's
PA,
right.
like sort of like surrounding Pittsburgh
Mm-hmm.
area. I'm in
Yep.
Brooklyn. For a couple years, Russ was out in
That's
California.
right. Yeah, Russ is.
He was in Huntington
Yeah.
Beach. So for a while there, I mean, for me to get from New York back to PA is not a big
No.
deal. I do it all the time anyway. My family's still
Oh,
there.
okay.
It's not a big
Yeah.
deal. But anytime we would do anything, we always had to factor in like, oh, we got to fly Russ
Oh,
out.
yeah.
Like that was always
We got to get
Russ's
Russ here.
plane tickets, regardless of what we were doing, was always now Russ is back in Pittsburgh
Oh,
again.
okay. That's right. He's
So
back. So it's
yeah,
perfect.
so that really opened us up. Now I'm the problem.
Yeah. Well, you're in Florida right now,
Now, now I'm in Florida. Yeah.
but you're gonna go.
We were just talking about doing some like in studio, like maybe doing like an in studio live
Yeah,
performance kind of
that'd be a
thing.
cool idea.
But
Or
now, yeah, but now I have to get to
oh yeah.
Pittsburgh,
So now you'd have to fly. Yeah. Yeah. It's all
and
heavy.
I think Pennsylvania has a quarantine against Florida
Do
now
they?
too.
I would, yeah,
They
yeah. It
do.
wouldn't
I
shock
think I'd
me
have to. I'd have to quarantine for 2 weeks before I
do
could.
anything. Yeah, it sucks. That's how it is here in Texas. I mean, my girlfriend works at, she's a trauma tech at the Children's Hospital. So it's like we were gonna go. She's from Connecticut. I'm from New York. So we were gonna go to visit family in August, and we had our plane tickets bought. And but they're like, yeah, she's her boss was like, you're gonna have to quarantine when you get back, and you're not gonna
Yeah.
get paid for it. And it's like, fuck. But hey,
I
whatever.
mean, I don't even like. We've had people offer us stuff like, well, you can do like remote,
Oh,
remote like live session. I don't have access to drums.
oh yeah, not right.
Like, I don't have anything here in Florida. And even if I was in Brooklyn for a long time,
Yeah.
my rehearsal space was locked out. We were locked out of my rehearsal space.
Oh
So
shit.
I haven't touched a drum set since.
What, the last show? Or
Well,
recording?
I did a show. I have a like this sort of death metal band I'm playing with in Brooklyn now called Rigger Samsa,
Okay.
and
Really?
we did a show on March. I want to say March 9th
Oh,
or March
so it's
8th.
like, oh
That was
yeah,
that was the last time I
yeah.
played a
That was
show.
like a few days, or
Played
yeah,
drum.
that was like a few days or a week before really shit at the fan,
It was a week.
right?
I remember it was a week before the show we were supposed to do with Code Orange.
Oh, okay. Oh
Mateo
yeah,
Code
that's
Orange played
yeah.
that,
Every time.
and there was a week off. So I played that show in like early March, and then we didn't find out that the Code Orange show was canceled till the
I
morning
remember. Yeah.
of. I was getting and I literally it was to the point where I didn't know if they were officially canceling it, and I told Scott because I was going to drive in that
Yep.
day,
I think I remember you
and
telling
I
me
said,
this.
I said to Scott, I'm like, we're officially
Yeah.
off. I said the show isn't happening. I'm not going to get halfway back to
Oh man,
Pittsburgh and find out I have to drive back
I
to
know,
New
right?
York.
That would have sucked. Yeah.
And then I was supposed to have another show with the band, that Rigger Sampson band in New York, the week after the Code Orange show, and that almost happened. They didn't cancel that show
In New York, it was gonna be in the city.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Yeah, that was in Brooklyn. And so yeah, but I haven't touched my drums since that last show I played.
Damn, dude. Yeah.
I have a practice pad down here and some sticks. I've been
Yeah.
working on keeping the
Yeah,
chops
but
up.
that's all you can do.
Yeah,
That's it, right?
my space is open in Brooklyn
Oh,
now.
they did open it back
Just,
up.
I gotta get back
Yeah.
there. Yeah.
Well, that's rad. What are like I guess another question I had was what are like some bands that you guys are close with? Like what bands are Zao close with, and like what bands are like from On the Ashes like really close with?
I mean,
Or has it been
we
or back
try,
when you guys were really
Zao is
active?
Zayo's tried to stay. I think Zayo's kind of tried to stay close with almost everybody.
You
Uh,
guys?
I know, like recently, like the guys from Yashira,
Oh yeah,
like
dude, best dudes.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's like
I knew you guys were gonna
that's how
love
we ended
that.
up. We ended up doing when we did that. We did their show, a couple shows with them,
Yeah.
and then we were just like, we love this band, and that's when we got the idea to do a split
Yep.
with them. Uh, like the guys in Worm,
Yep. Love those guys.
like those are like some of the recent like good
Yeah.
friends. But even like older bands that we've toured with in the past, like we still talk to the guys from
Oh,
Unearth,
okay, yeah.
the guys from Under
Yep,
Oath.
yep.
I mean, Chris from Under Oath is doing did a bunch of like ambient soundscape stuff on our new
Oh,
record.
no way. That's right.
So
There's a little
yeah,
part
so
on it.
he'll have like a guest spot on the record. We still talk to all the guys from
Oh,
Dillinger.
okay, that's cool as fuck.
I mean, always stay close with
Yeah.
them. I mean, we pretty much like almost everybody we've ever toured with to some
Still.
extent. We've
Still
yeah.
close with him.
I mean, we were really excited about like getting to see the Evergreen Terrace
Yeah,
guys.
I know.
Yeah, like we love
Yeah,
those
they're
dudes.
great.
Even like the guys in like Remembering Never, and
Yeah,
like
Pete.
like Pete.
Yeah.
You know?
That's why, yeah, either Coven we're gonna have on that run. Pete was stoked, yeah. Pete's the man. It's funny. I grew up going to see Remembering Never, right? But I never met Pete until when was it? Like late last year. Like I actually
Mhm.
started talking to him, and it was all because of Mike Gitter from Century Media. He was like, "Yo, you want to,
Mhm.
you listen to either Coven, he was like, I really want like an agent for them that really loves the band. It's going to be a growing process because with that type of band, it's going to take some time. And that's when we became close. And he started like his girlfriend like lives in San Antonio, and he would fly in like every other week, and like would come up to Austin.
Yeah.
We would just hit up the record store, hit up some vegan spots, hang out. And I was like, this is crazy. Growing up seeing Remembering Never, because I'm 33. So growing up seeing them, I was always scared of that fucking band. When like you're younger, you had those bands that were just so violent, like Blood Has Been Shed and stuff. Those were like shows I'd go to, and I loved the bands, but I was scared for my life at the same time. And Remembering Never was one of those bands, and I just was always like, everyone called him Mean Pete, so it's like I don't know, I just never talked to him. I remember like a few years ago, I actually hit him up because I was like known, like Remembering Never was doing shows and stuff, and it looked like they were gonna come back, like be more active, I guess. I remember hitting him up, but he never hit me back, and I was like, all right, that's fine. And then we started working together with Either Cove, and he's like, yeah, I'm sorry, man, Remembering Never is just Remembering Never, and I'm like, yeah, I get it.
Yeah. Well, that's what I always got a kick out of the Mean Pete nickname.
I know.
He's just because he's such a sweetheart.
And you knew him back.
Like,
did you know him back then? Like, were you personally? Did you know Pete at all back then? A good amount, right?
Like what when you say back
like
then? What era? Are you
like the 2000, 2005 era, I guess. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I mean, we did. I think 2006. I mean, we did a tour. It was us, Madball, Remembering Never.
Fuck.
It was like the fair tour. We ended up not being able to complete the tour.
Oh, really?
Because Dan broke his hand like really bad.
Fuck.
Like,
did he really? Wow.
Yeah. It was a rare later period Zao band argument in Seattle. I think Dan's talked about this, so I don't feel so weird. Yeah, we played at El Corazon in Seattle. And something happened. Scott and I got into an argument.
Yeah.
And then like Dan heard Scott and I fighting. And like I think Scott and I pretty much resolved it, but Dan heard Scott and I yelling at each other, and he got really upset, and like he's like, "Oh, here we go. Zao fights again." And like he punched the wall backstage, but he punched a stud when he hit it. And he had this open wound on his hand.
Wow.
But he didn't think anything of it. And I remember it was like to the point where we went back to the hotel, and like some guys went out for like drinks afterwards or whatever. I think Dan went out. He had like his hand wrapped up or whatever. But he like woke up the next day, and he's like, the color doesn't look good on this, and it's like really warm. And he went to the emergency room, and they're like, yeah, like there's bone missing, and this is starting to turn like gangrene or whatever.
Shit, man.
And they're like, you can't like get it like sweaty or like dirt in it.
You can't do it.
And it was his, and Dan's a tattoo.
Yeah, I know. So he's tattooing back then too, right?
Yeah, and it was his tattoo hand, and they're like, you have to go home and get surgery and like not get this dirty. So like Dan flew home.
Yeah, he had to go.
They're like, you can't get sweat or dirt in this. He's like, I can't play this tour because Dan sweats like a beast. I mean, 2 songs into the set, he's like, it's like he jumped out of a swim. Yeah, I can't do this. So he flew home, and we had to drive to Seattle the whole way back to Pittsburgh.
Fuck, man.
Damn. So yeah, it was really unfortunate, but like there was a point where they're like, yeah, you could lose this hand, or at least like the finger,
like the pinky.
Yeah. So we didn't get to finish that tour because of that.
So you know Pete, yeah.
But yeah, so we did that tour with them, and
was Pete ever?
And that was a weird tour.
Was it? Yeah, I mean that's a weird lineup.
It was a triple headlining show.
Oh, so they rotated. You did the rotating?
It was a rotating either us, Madball, or Remembering Never. And I remember Remembering Never was kind of like, we don't want to play last any night on the bill. They're like, we don't want to play after Zao or after Madball.
Just have us open this thing.
And it was like I forget who the first two, there were 2 other bands opening.
Yeah.
I forget who the other 2.
What was it, a Ferret tour?
It was a Ferret tour, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And it was, Yeah, there was some weird crowds on that tour.
Was it? Yeah.
Because I remember we played one of the worst Zao shows ever on that tour in Long Island.
Really?
In
It was
Long
just one of those
Island.
nights.
And I remember the it was like this weird. I think that the club sometimes doubled as like a strip
Oh
club.
wow. Okay.
There were like stripper poles throughout the club, but it wasn't a strip club that
Yeah.
night. And we weren't. Madball was definitely on last
Yeah.
that night. I mean, that
Well,
was
it's
in
Long
Long
Island.
Island.
Yeah. That's their
That
stomping
headliner.
grounds, pretty much.
And I remember when we started playing, they didn't shut the house lights off.
So it's just bright.
Like, so all the really bright, and there was a group of guys sitting on the stage with their backs to us,
God, dude.
like arms folded, like
those
sitting on
guys.
stage. All the house lights were on, and it was a really weird vibe. And I remember we were about 3 songs in, and we were just like, "Fuck this!" So we played. It was the last song on "The Fear Is What Keeps Us Here." Last Time for Everything, and it ends with this big like just the drums loop playing over and over again, and Dan screaming, "The fear is what keeps us here." We played that like 3 or 4 songs into the set, and usually when we played that, everyone left the stage, and me and Dan just keep playing that part. We did it for about 15 minutes. And then ended.
You did that for 15 minutes?
It was a long time. It was a long time. And then just ended the set. We're like, you know what? They don't like us, so we're gonna punish them.
So
we're gonna punish
Did they stay on stage like those guys with their backs turned? Did they stay there? Did they?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, they just stayed there. It was like literally the worst show we ever played. That when I was in the band, and I remember asking our tour manager like the next day, I'm like, "What do we do in merch?" He was like, "We sold a shirt."
Oh my god!
So one person bought a shirt.
That was a complete Madball crowd. Yeah.
Yeah. But I do remember the one guy that was wearing his AO shirt, who maybe was one of the people that bought one. I remember him standing sort of on the side of the stage when we were doing that drum and vocal loop and like really getting into it.
Just this
like
one
he
guy.
was like, "Oh, I like this. I like this part." He was like, he's probably the guy that bought the shirt.
Yeah, he's probably the one guy. That's wild.
Most of the shows on that tour were great. It was just that one.
That was just
yeah.
So it's
we played Long Island a couple years ago at Amityville Music Hall.
AMH, yeah.
It was like a weird double bill with like Nails.
Oh, what the fuck?
It was like Nails played a show, and then we were the late show.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, like so we didn't go on to like 2 a.m.
Shit,
but it was we were worried about it. Like we're like, yeah, our last Long Island experience was so bad, and that Amityville show was amazing.
Wow,
like,
going on that late.
So I don't think it was. I don't think it was Long Island. I think it was like that.
It happens. I've seen, even growing up, dude, certain bands would get, the crowd treat them the most disrespectful. That was the thing that I always hated when it saw people like sitting on stage, like when a band's playing. I'm like, what are you doing? What the fuck are you doing up here?
I remember we were terrified about the This Is Hardcore a couple years ago.
And how'd that go?
We were just like we don't know if they want to. We don't know if they want us. It went amazing. Wow. I mean, there's like one of the Hate 5-6 videos.
I'm surprised
going
I've
around.
never seen it. I gotta go look it. I'll look it up after this.
Oh, you gotta look up the fight. They rushed the stage for 5-year winner.
Oh man!
Like when we played 5-year winner, you can't find it.
He's just gone. He's just piled. Yeah.
Yeah. It was. We were expecting to be like, oh, this is gonna be like a hostile crowd. Like
I feel like it's pretty diverse. This is hardcore. They've really. The fest has come a long way where they really Joe's like diversified the fest and having.
I mean, it saves the day.
That's what I'm saying. Like that, and I'm like, wow. But I mean, it's cool that he did that. I think with that fest though, because or else it's just going to be repetitive. You gotta throw some oddballs in.
Well, we're good friends. We're good friends with Rich Hall too, and he was because he was involved too. And Rich is like. When Rich approached us, he's like, "I'll put you on a good day. I'll put you on a day with more of the metal."
Yeah, where you fit a little bit more.
Yeah,
that's right. So when did Pete get the Mean Pete nickname? That's what I never asked him.
I have no idea. I just always knew him as Mean Pete. Like,
that's crazy. I know he had like I forget what it was recently, some form of cancer. I forget what he had. What was it? But
it wasn't Hodgkin's.
No. I forget, but he's good now. I'm pretty positive. I haven't talked to him in a few weeks, so this.
I think Scott talked to him like a couple days ago, actually. And from what Scott told me, it was like the treatments, if
Worked.
things are going
Yeah.
smooth.
Because yeah,
Yeah,
the plan
like
was to like start booking them some shows later this year, which I mean we'll see what happens, but um, yeah, this working with him has been great. Like I never thought. I remember when Gitter hit me up. I'm like, all right. I'm like, I don't know what to think about Pete. And then we started talking. I'm like, this is the nicest guy I've ever
yeah,
met.
yeah,
What the
he's a
fuck?
total
And he's
sweetheart.
like, yo, I'm coming to Austin. Meet me at Waterloo Records at 8 o'clock. I mean, the first time I'm like, okay. And I never met him in person, and it was just like a blast. I'm like, I don't know why people think.
It's kind of like the big
Yeah,
guy that everyone calls
yeah.
tiny. Like it's kind of like
Yes, I
that.
mean,
It's like
Remember Never's, they're like a hard band. Like they have some,
yeah, yeah,
Women and Children Die First. I mean, that record's scary in a sense, especially when it came out back then. That was like, oh fuck, man, you're gonna get your ass beat
absolutely.
at this show. Literally, love that though. But yeah, I mean, like I remember when I first discovered Zao, it had to be where wasn't the band on a Hellfest DVD? Yeah,
Yes,
which one was it?
I think so.
I
I
think
think
there was
so.
one of them there. The band was on. I didn't see Zayo until like
I know Zayo did a bunch of Hellfest.
yeah.
I never got to do a Hellfest with
No.
Zayo. I was going to do the last one.
Oh, the one.
I was
Yeah.
actually, and that was after. Oh, we had come off another tour and we had some time off, and I was actually visiting my girlfriend at the time, but my wife
Yeah.
now in New York. And so I was like kind of hanging in New York, and I was going to meet them in Jersey for Hellfest. And I remember everybody getting the email from the booking agents
It's
like
done.
they haven't paid any of the deposits. Everybody like don't go unless we tell you. We think something's wrong. And that was the Hellfest where like everything got
Yeah.
canceled. And then the guy that set it up like went nuts and was like doing toe nuts with a bus in the parking lot. Do you remember that?
No, what? I did not know that.
Yeah, like
What? He went
it got shut down at the last minute. Like they couldn't
it was
get like
insurance. It was
insurance or
something
something.
with insurance.
Yeah, it was an insurance
Yeah.
thing. So the city or whatever shut it
Oh my
down,
fucking
and he had like some like weird like it was like some kind of like Volkswagen bus or
Oh, okay,
something.
like one of those
And
little
like in protest, he was like in the parking lot of the venue, like doing
Oh
donuts,
my
like
god.
it just like
Because I
freaking
think
out.
he
And like none of the bands showed up. It like got canceled at
It was
very
very loud
last
because I
minute.
remember I was on tour with one of my old bands. It's like screamo band that I was in, and we were coming back from tour that day, or like that, or the day before, or something like that. And my singer Joe was going to go to Hellfest. I wasn't going, and I had to get back to
Yeah,
work. I remember, and he's like, he was just like, "Yo, I'm hearing that it's getting canceled," and I'm like, "No way." And then
yeah.
later on, you found I heard it was because of like when they had Bad Luck 13. There was some shit when they remember that band.
That they up the insurance clauses.
Yeah,
Yeah. Well, yeah, I
yeah,
remember
yeah.
Bad
I
Luck.
don't think
Yeah.
anyone can forget that fucking band. I never saw them live.
Right.
Never saw that band live. I saw all the videos. Oh yeah, my friend
Yeah,
Sean
yeah.
here, Metalcore Nerds. You should check out his podcast. Actually, he's really fucking cool dude.
Nice.
But yeah, Sean was in that band Ghost Ship. You see it? Can
Yeah,
confirm he
yeah.
is a
I
psycho.
saw
Yeah.
can confirm he is a
I remember
psycho.
when Sean told me that because I never knew who the guy from Hellfest was, and Sean was like, "That was my singer." I was like, "What do you mean? Really? Fuck out of here!" He's like, "Yeah, that's him." I'm like, "That's fucking
Yeah, I
wild."
just remember like getting the email and it was like, attention, all agency group artists, do not
Don't
leave for
go.
Hellfest until you get the green
Yeah.
light. We don't think it's happening.
Oh
Like,
man,
yeah,
that's
yeah.
crazy. I remember getting that Hellfest DVD. I think it was I don't know what year it was, like 2000 or something.
Was that the same one? I know there's one that has
Let me look it
there
up.
was like a really popular the From Autumn to Ashes performance
Yeah,
on it. Same
let
one?
me see. The first Hellfest DVD I ever got was this one. What? Why does it have to be the smallest image in history? It's from 2001. Poison the Well, Shah-Lud, Buried Alive, Brothers Keeper, One King Down, Bane, Converge, Every Time I Die, 18 Visions, Reach the Sky, Walls of Jericho, Nora, One King Down, Kill Switch Engage. Yeah, so no. Zayo and From All Ashes was not on that one. There
Okay.
was another
I know
one.
there's a From Autumn to Ashes Hellfest thing floating around.
Yeah, maybe it's just a
Uh,
video. Maybe it wasn't on.
I know
Oh, it was this one.
Zayo did
I
a tour.
found it. It was two. Where's the fucking year? But From All Nash is on the cover. This is from. Come on, can you eBay? Can you give? Oh, 2003. It was the one with the Locust, Dillinger Escape Plan, Lamb of God, From All the Ashes, Bleeding Through, Norma Jean, and a bunch of others. I should get that.
I know there was a Hellfest that it was crazy. I think Zao played it, Dillinger played it, and Creationist Crucifixion played it.
Wow.
And that was Creation. That was right after Scott left Creation to be in Zao. Like there was like all these weird, and I seem to remember that like that got shut down from the venue it was supposed to happen.
Oh, no way.
And like a lot of the shows like happened in somebody's backyard or something.
God.
Like maybe somebody could.
Like
I seem to remember a Hellfest happening like in somebody like it was like a weird like somebody's yard kind of thing.
That's insane. Oh, Sean said, where is he? Bad Luck 13 was a part of it.
I will say that Zao did not have a deposit on that one. We never got a deposit.
Yeah, you never got one. He lost like $500,000 or something. God, dude. I'd probably lose my mind if I lost that much money. I'd be like, dude, I don't even have that much money. How do you? But I wish Hellfest never. I wish it just kept going on. That was the DVD though, the 2000. What did I say it was 1 or 2000. I remember buying that. I forget where I bought it from. But that was the DVD that got me into like all like the bands from Ferret, Trustkill, and shit. That just opened everything up. You know. But yeah, it's crazy. And then did he sell the name Hellfest? Did he? I heard he sold the name or.
Well, there's a Hellfest in France.
Yeah, and I heard he sold the name to some shit a long time ago.
But I could have sworn we played a Hellfest. The Zao played a Hellfest in France.
The Hellfest in.
I think it was Hellfest. It was a festival in France. It was at the Le Mans racetrack.
Oh, wow. How was that?
I remember it was the first tour I did with Zao. It was like the third or fourth show I ever played with them.
Shit.
And I remember that Zao played, which I know was filmed. I don't know that no footage ever came out from it. But I remember Neurosis played. Oh, wow. I remember that was a big deal that we got to go over and watch Neurosis. Yeah. I remember Dan watching Turbo Negro with the guys from Creator.
What?
I remember we were sharing a dressing room with The Business.
Are you serious? That is insane.
Wow. Yeah, it was like really. I think that was a Hellfest.
That was a Hellfest. He said that Hellfest made the. No, he said no. France stole it. He said, well, quote unquote, stole it. Yeah,
okay. Yeah. I think that was called Hellfest.
I wonder if the dude or whatever his name is that was in your band, Sean, the dude from Hellfest, if he even copyrighted it, like, or anything back then. I feel like back then, like, no, you know.
Isn't it still going on?
Yeah.
Isn't the Hellfest France still happening?
Look it up, dude. It's huge. The lineup for Hellfest in France is like the most bizarre. It's just insane, dude. Like
it was bizarre back then too.
Like even 2018, they had Avenged Sevenfold, Iron Maiden, Judas Priest, Marilyn Manson, Deftones. You know, Limp Bizkit on one day. It was Stone Sour and shit, and the next day is Dimmu Borgir, Satyricon, Watain, Children of Bodom, and then the next day is Rise Against, Bad Religion, Neurosis. Dead Cross, Hatebreed, Cro-Mags, and so on. The lineup, dude, yeah, it's crazy. Europe, man, European festivals are insane, dude.
And I remember when we did that one in France, it was the last day of the festival. Like it had been going on for several days, and it was like it's like walking into a war zone. Like there were just like piles of garbage, and it just smelled like piss, and like people just pissing wherever. And like I still remember like the worst festival catering ever. It was like this duck, and it was really greasy duck. And I remember our bus driver. We were sharing a bus with Bleeding Through.
Okay.
And we had this crazy bus driver. I'm not sure what his deal was, but apparently he like fought in the Bosnian War.
What the fuck?
But like our booking agent at the time was just kind of like, yeah, but we didn't say what side he was on. Like it was like dude was intense.
Man,
he wouldn't even. He wouldn't eat it.
Wow. So no one touched that.
I mean, the dude had like seen some shit, and like he's like, this is awful. I can't eat this.
No.
It was like, it was rough. It was rough.
Wow.
Franck. I think his name was Franck.
Franck.
He kind of looked like, I don't
That's a
know.
name.
Remember back in the day, like with the old GI Joe figures. Remember Gung Ho?
Yeah, of course.
Like the bald guy with like the tattoo on his chest. He looked like him.
That was your bus driver.
And he was not a fan of Russ.
No, he wasn't.
No, not a fan of Russ. Didn't like the black guy.
Oh wow.
Did not like the black guy.
One of those, yeah. Well, over there.
It was intense, dude.
Intense guy. What is Sean's? I'm pretty sure he did. He tried to sue. He said maybe it was a year-round business and everything. He had a full staff. I mean, yeah. I mean, I could see Hellfest back then being very, very profitable for him. For sure.
Yeah.
I mean,
that was the thing. You wanted back then. You wanted to play Hellfest. Like that was.
That had to be like probably one of the bigger festivals in the States. It had to be back then. I mean, to a certain extent.
I mean, Furnace Fest.
Yeah, Furnace too.
Furnace Fest too. Yeah. You wanted to play Furnace Fest. You wanted to play Hellfest. I mean, what else was there like that in the U.S.?
There wasn't anything else.
I mean,
maybe.
I mean, Warp Tour, but that was like a whole other thing.
That's a tour.
You already had to be.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you had to be established enough to get on it.
Very hard.
Like Warp Tour really wasn't breaking people that weren't broken to a certain level already. Hellfest, Furnace Fest, those were get in there and get broke. You know, have your band break, and you know, it was more niche in the sense, but Cornerstone.
Well, yeah, that was a bigger one back then too. God.
Yeah. You could, if you were in that world, Cornerstone, you had the right slot on the right stage.
That's what it was. Yeah. You would just explode from just playing one fucking fest.
I remember the last time that Zao played Cornerstone. I mean, that was like after the Fear came out.
Okay.
It's one of the last ones. I remember us playing right after Mute Math.
Oh, wow.
And at the time, Mute Math wasn't a huge name.
Yeah.
And I remember us watching their set and just being like, holy shit, these guys are going to take off. And they did.
Yeah, no, they did.
Like, they were on the, Cornerstone put them right before Zao on this particular stage, on this particular night. They already had a buzz going, but, you could tell, like, they were able to curate, we're going to break this band.
Sure.
Like, way more than they are before they walk in.
It's just crazy how, like, things have changed so much because there's not those fests anymore. Besides, This Is Hardcore. Honestly, in the States.
Yeah, I mean, New England's
done. And that was strong for a long time. New England Metal and Hardcore Fest was very strong for a while. It kind of fell off.
I mean, that last one that we played was, that was pretty packed. Good. I mean, that was still,
That went on for like how long? 20 years? 20-something years?
I want to say we played it 2015. Okay. I don't know if they had one after that.
Well, no. When was the last New England Metal Fest? It was a couple of years ago, I think. I think it was like 2018 was the last one.
Okay.
But it just kind of felt, the lineups I thought they were still good, but it just wasn't doing what it used to. And I think a lot of bands, from what I gathered from bands that I work with too, like that would want to play it. They were just like, if we're going to play this like early on in the day, like the early afternoon, like we're going to go on at like 2 or 3 p.m. We don't want to do it. Because it was, and I could understand that that was the type of fest a lot of people showed up later. Later, which sucks because, everyone wanted to play the fest. It was 2016 was the last one, Corey? Damn, wow. I thought it was like 2 years ago was the last one. Yeah, a few years ago.
Well, you know what? 2016, we may have played that year.
I'm trying to find pictures from it.
I think we played it before the Well-Intentioned Virus came out.
Yeah.
The Well-Intentioned Virus came out at the end of 2016.
Oh, well, it was 2018. I think we did had a 2018 one, actually. I'm looking at it. I think that was the last one. The year Wolf came, Distinguisher on it. Yeah, it was 2018.
Are they still doing the So What Fest?
Well, it was supposed to come back this year, I'm pretty sure, but he's pushing it to next year, I think. Yeah, the 20th anniversary of New
Yeah.
England Metal and Hardcore Fest. The last one was 2018. Yeah, and the bigger, yeah,
Yeah. Other than that, I mean, you have Maryland Death
yeah,
Fest.
which and
I
all
mean,
those Death Fest do well, like Maryland Death
yeah.
Fest, California Death
Well,
Fest, Quebec,
Milwaukee,
Milwaukee.
Milwaukee.
No,
Did they
I
still?
don't think so.
Or did they? They used to have one, didn't they? Or was it
Remember
Michigan?
Robot Mosh Fest or whatever in Wisconsin or
Yeah.
Minnesota? That was around for a little bit. That was a bizarre one too. That was like insane lineups. I remember I went to Robot Mosh Fest with My Bitter End. Remember that band, My Bitter End? Yeah.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
it was my first like ever going on tour. Well, I did a tour before that in like my old band. It was like 2 weeks, but it wasn't like a real tour. This was like a real tour. It was like us. I just went out with them doing merch and stuff, and it was them, Tony Danza, As But One's Black, and this band Lie by Mistake. But we played Robot Mosh Fest, and that was insane. Beneath the Massacre play. It was all those bands like See You Next Tuesday. It was just like stacked.
Right.
But that was Wisconsin. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, with the New England Metal. Yeah.
I think Chain Reaction needs to keep their fest up. They did that one for the anniversary, and I think they should do that. They should do
keep
that more.
doing that. Yeah.
Yeah, they did it. They did it at the observatory, and they had they had an outside
And didn't
stage,
it
and they had one
sell
in.
out? I'm pretty sure, or it came. I know it did
I
really
don't
well.
remember. I think it was pretty
Yeah.
close. I mean, I want to say Under Oath was on that
I'm
one.
pretty
I know
sure
Coheed.
Coheed played.
I know Coheed was one of the
Yeah, Coheed
headliners.
played.
Uh, yeah, because we flew out for that.
Oh wait, did you guys play it? Oh
Yeah.
shit! Wow.
Yeah, yeah, we played. I know Coheed closed the outside
Oh,
stage.
okay. Yeah.
Because we had all the merch tents were outside, and I remember sitting watching Coheed from the
I
merch
haven't seen
tent.
that band in a while. They like that band is. I think most of those dudes are from like Kingston, New York, which is right next to Poughkeepsie.
Yeah, I tried to get into that band.
I did at one point. There was like there was one record where I really loved it, and then I just stopped.
No, I literally tried to get into.
Oh, you
the
tried
band.
to join them? Oh, when they
Yeah.
Because didn't they get the drummer from Dillinger or who?
That's what happened, and it backfired on me. When I found out that it was right when I was getting ready to move to New York, and I knew Zao was going on a hiatus,
Yeah.
and then I found out that Chris was helping Coheed out on their record.
Yeah.
That's how the story pitched.
Oh.
And I remember reaching out to the Dillinger guys and maybe even Chris, not knowing what the situation was. And I said, Chris, when you go, if you aren't doing anything with them anymore and you go back to Dillinger, throw my name in the hat if they're looking for a drummer.
Oh man.
And then it turned out that Chris was actually joining the band. And then I remember Greg calling me being like, dude, Chris left Dillinger. We need a drummer. Can you audition?
Get the fuck out of here. Did you?
Well, at that time, I had literally just committed to a From Autumn to Ashes
like tour.
I wasn't joining the band yet.
What was it, like a tour?
Carl from Ferret called me and said, hey,
Carl.
You're in New York now. From Autumn to Ashes has a 10-week co-headlining tour with Haste the Day.
Shit.
They need a drummer. Can you go do this? So I committed to the 10-week tour and then a European tour with From Autumn to Ashes. Greg calls me while I'm on tour with From Autumn to Ashes and says, hey, can you send us over a video of you playing Panasonic Youth, 43% Burnt, and Mullet Burnt? Because we don't know if anybody can play these songs other than Chris. We need to,
Yeah.
And I'm just like, I'm on tour. I can't do this right now. And I'm not going to be for like 10 weeks. And then they ended up getting Gil that did the Ironworks record.
Yeah, which is great. That's crazy.
And then I ran into Liam and Ben in Manhattan one day. And I'm like, hey, I just want to tell you that, I think Gil's a perfect fit for you guys. You love the record. It sounds really good. And I remember Liam's like, oh, that's a touchy subject right now. Gil's not going to be playing with us anymore. And I'm like, well, do you want me to do? I'm like, I'm ready to try out.
Yeah,
now.
I'll do it.
And then it turned into me officially auditioning for Dillinger.
Wow. Damn, dude.
But the whole thing started with me being like, dude, I could hang with Coheed.
Yeah, well, yeah, for sure. Dillinger's a whole
It's
new
funny.
fucking monster.
Claudio actually lives in my neighborhood in
Oh, he
Brooklyn.
does?
I see him around all
That's
the time.
wild.
And for a long time, I would laugh because I'm like, dude, this is guy in my neighborhood. It's like the Claudio Sanchez doppelganger.
And it's him.
And then it's him.
He lives right by it.
But like for a while, I'm just like, yeah, this dude just looks just like
Yeah,
Claudio. It's
for
like,
a
yeah,
while.
so I think he lives like 3 blocks from
That's
me.
crazy. It makes sense that he would live down there. Not in
Yeah,
Kingston anymore and shit. I don't think they lived in Kingston that long. I feel like when they started exploding, they just moved out.
Yeah, I think they've been all. I know they were in because I think they were rehearsing at the same place Dillinger rehearsed over in Jersey for a while. But I think they kind of are based. I think they're kind of officially based out of Brooklyn now.
Oh, okay.
If I'm not incorrect.
That would make sense.
Uh,
How was that tryout for Dillinger? Was that rough?
I
mean, you're a great drummer, but that shit is. I couldn't even imagine trying to fucking.
It was insane.
Yeah.
I talked about it a little bit. I had to send them. I had to send them video. I had to do. It was Panasonic Youth.
Yeah.
When Good Dogs Do Bad Things from the Patton EP.
Yeah.
And at the time, Ironworks was out, and it was the song Lurch.
Okay. Yeah.
They were using the song Lurch as if you can't play this song, you can't hang with
it's not
Dillinger.
gonna work.
But that was like the hardest Dillinger song. And I had to send them videos of me playing them. I had 43% burnt in Panasonic Youth that I threw 43% in, but I had Panasonic Youth when I got those videos together pretty quickly. It took me about 3 weeks to figure out what was happening in Lurch, and another 2 weeks to learn it. I sent the videos over, so I got through that initial wave, and then I got together with Ben. Ben came to my rehearsal space in Brooklyn, and he played the songs, just me and him.
Cool. Wow.
Playing through, and then he would play me some riffs. And I remember there was something in Lurch I wasn't getting right. It was like a snare accent pattern. What blew my mind, Ben sat down behind the drums.
Did he do it?
And played the part.
So he plays drums, like he can play drums?
Well, apparently he writes a lot of the drum parts. So he knew and for Ironworks, they didn't know if they had a drummer, so he programmed every part.
Wow.
And he had Thomas from Sugar teach him the drums from hell kind of thing.
Yeah.
There's a version of Ironworks apparently with all programmed drums that they were prepared to use.
They were going to use that.
So he knew. I think at one point he did send me the MIDI files of Lurch so that I could see where the notes were.
So you get a better understanding of it, right?
Yeah, I did that, and then it turned into it's you and 3 other guys, and we have a tour. They were going to Soundwave in Australia, and they're like, we have a tour coming up in January. This is September, and they're like, it's you, 2 other guys. Now, how much can you learn and how fast? So I sent the videos of Mullet Burden, Jim Fear, Sugar Sour. I went through the catalog, as many as I could send, and then they did a full band audition.
You did? Oh, damn.
And I did that. So it was between me, Billy Reimer, the got it, and
is there someone else?
I can't remember who the third guy was. There was a third guy.
Yeah.
It came down to the fifth, and Billy got it.
Yeah. That's crazy.
And when I saw Billy play, I was like, and I remember Greg telling me, he's like, he came out of nowhere, and he was kind of late to the game, and he's only learned 3 songs, but the way he played them
was just what sold him.
It just
yeah. That's crazy.
I appreciate, but the whole process went on for about 5 months.
Holy crap.
It was a 5-month audition process. It was insane. And I still, I was talking to this guy, and I remember telling Liam and Ben and Greg, I'm like, look, if I don't get it, I'm learning a lot through this. And
that's insane.
And I've actually used sort of the Dillinger, what I call the Dillinger blast beat on Zao to this day.
Is it what you call it?
It's where you have the snare and the bass drum just sort of alternating in a way, but you accents, and then the China accents the guitar things. It's on the song "The Well-Intentioned Virus." I do it on.
Now I'm gonna go back and
Yeah,
listen.
I do a couple songs of the new record.
Yeah, like when I think like I started getting familiar with Zao when Funeral of God came out. That's when I was
Yeah,
like, okay, now I know who Zao is, and then that's when I just started exploring the whole thing. Zao was always that like one band that was so weird to me. It was so the band is
yeah.
so different to me, and still to this day, Zao is a band that's so different to me that stands out more than like any other band. It's just like this.
It's a
It is
weird
a
band.
weird band. That's all it is, and I love it. I remember those shows you guys did in Texas with Living Sacrifice. I
Yeah,
was at that Dallas show. I was working for that
yeah,
venue at the
yeah.
time. We just
Mhm.
opened that venue. That venue was open for like a few months because the own.
I think if
I
I'm
think
not
we did we make
incorrect,
that. What
Andy booked that
he did,
run,
right?
but when we played, we already knew you were going to be our new
I
agent,
think so.
and that was the first time that
I
we
think that was
talked.
like we
Like
like
we
briefly
like in
talked.
person.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that show was insane. Those weren't those shows nuts. I heard they went.
yeah,
Yeah, because I remember the Dallas show was
yeah,
fucking. I think it was sold out. It was
yeah.
packed. That was a good time. Those shows were fucking good. Oh, and the Wolf King guys told me to say hello. I forgot about that.
Oh,
Wearing their fucking ridiculous ass shirt. I don't know. You see this thing?
oh yeah.
Did you see
That's
the?
that's another one of those
Yeah.
bands that like it's just like it's like we have a pretty good radar. Like like even when we set up tours
Yeah.
and you'll send us like lists like
Yeah.
here's these bands to consider, and like a lot of times we pick our friends,
Mm.
but at the same time like we can just tell like when we listen to band we pick
So
bands
you're like,
to play with that we're
yeah,
fans
yeah.
of
You
that
listen, like this is
like
cool.
I like this
Yeah.
band. Like, and Wolf King kind of fell in that.
I
Like, we're
got,
like, these guys we like
I
their
gotta send you
music,
the
and then they're
record.
just awesome.
The band, they got so much better. This next record's so good. That's another band too. Like their record, they're gonna release some new stuff this year, but it's being pushed the next year too. But
Okay.
yeah, no, those are great guys, great fucking dudes. Love them. But that's them and Yashira as well. I think they just recorded not too long ago, or they were supposed to. I don't know. I got to talk to Dylan. It's been a minute. It's been like a few weeks
Yeah.
since I've talked to Dylan. But
But yeah, you were saying about Zayu being
yeah,
weird. I mean, that was what before I joined the band, that was what appealed to me
they're
about them.
so different. It's so
Was that like
bizarre.
every record had its own distinct
A hundred
vibe,
percent. Look,
and like you couldn't,
you
and that
can't.
was the thing, and like that was cool to me because it's like even as a fan, because I mean I've known the Zayo guys since the beginning of Zayo.
Oh, you go
Like
way back.
I've talked about this
Oh
before. Yeah, I
man.
mean we all grew up together, and there was another thing that I did recently where I talked about how I remember when Brett joined, even before Dan and Russ joined.
Okay.
Like Brett was the sole guy that joined, and then he pulled the other guys
Wow.
along. I remember talking to Brett, and he's like, "Yeah, you know that band Zayo?" We're like, "Yeah,
Yeah.
I know them." He's like, "Yeah, I'm gonna play guitar for
Oh
them,"
wow.
and that was where it ended. And then it was like, "Oh yeah, now Russ is going to be in Zayo too," and now Dan. So I
Wow.
knew them as we all were in bands together in the same scene. I knew Scott from his old band. So before I was in the band, I was friends with those guys, and I was also following them as a
Yeah.
fan.
Yeah.
And I remember every record that would come out, I'm like, what the
Yeah.
hell is
How they
this? Like
write
every
this?
single record, it's like a slap upside
A
your
hundred
head
percent.
from what you thought from what the last one
Yeah.
was. And that's what appealed to me
Yeah.
because those are the kinds of bands I
Yeah. I
like.
could say yeah.
Like I like bands that do that.
Same.
Like I'm not a fan of the idea of when people say, "Oh, you're only as good as your last
I know.
record."
Yeah. No.
I hate that. I don't buy that at all because I feel you're as good as your body
Yeah,
of
for
work,
sure. You're right.
and you are allowed to have missteps. And there's
Oh, for
bands that I
sure.
love that have horrible
Oh
missteps,
yeah, dude. There's a
and
ton.
I may hate it at the time, and sometimes coming back, I'm like, man, that what a weird. A good example of that is Judas
Oh
Priest.
yeah.
Judas Priest is one of my
Oh
favorite
yeah.
bands, and they are so all over the
Yeah, they're
map.
everywhere.
I mean, it's like, can you imagine writing that band off when they put out Turbo and never listening to another Judas Priest record? And it's like you totally missed out on Painkiller.
Yeah.
Like,
There are
like
those
what?
bands though.
But they did that their whole
Yeah.
career.
There's always
That
something
they
insane.
put out like a very metal record, but then there was also like really rock
Yeah.
records that had nothing,
And it wasn't metal at all. Yeah.
Yeah,
This is,
it's like Screaming for Vengeance is very metal, but the couple records before that are kind of hard rock
it's like
records.
straight
They're
rock.
not metal
It's
records,
crazy when bands can do
you know.
that shit. Especially a band
Yeah,
like that, too.
and that was what I liked about Zao,
Yeah, yeah.
and it was also what I liked about From Autumn to
Oh, yeah.
Ashes because I got the same vibe from
Yeah.
them.
Oh, yeah, they
Like
changed.
when they like playing this, and it's like, oh yeah, Too Bad You're Beautiful, The Fiction We Live, Abandon Your
Yeah.
Friends. All those records are
Oh,
completely
yeah. Oh,
different.
yeah.
Like and they operate kind of the same way that
Mm-hmm.
Zao does.
It's crazy.
Where they're like, yeah, the last record doesn't dictate what this new record
Mm-hmm.
is.
Yeah.
And it can be totally different. And we might go down this detour, but it doesn't mean we're going to stay
Yeah.
there. We can
still go
back
back.
over here.
I think Poison the Well
And
did
that's
that
what
to me.
that's
Because I didn't like, I kind of, after You Come Before You with Poison the Well, after that record, I was just, they just threw me off. It just, at the
right.
time, and then I got older and I went back to the, like, Tropic Raw or whatever, and was it Versions? I think that record's
Mm-hmm.
called. And I was like, okay, I like these records. Like, I started to appreciate them more, but at the time, I just, when they came out, it just threw me off. There's those bands that would put out a record, and at the time, I'm like, I don't like this. And then later on,
Right.
I'm just like, I'm going to listen to that record right now. And I'm like, holy shit, this is good. What the
Yeah.
fuck was I thinking then? And this,
Yeah. I mean, it's like,
but,
it's a lot of it is like a lot of it plays into your mindset.
yeah.
And like certain records will hit you at a certain time and maybe you're not ready for
That's
it.
what it
Or
is, I
maybe
feel like.
I mean, I've gone through that with a lot of bands. I remember. I mean, I was always a big Faith No More fan,
Yeah.
and they were another one of those bands where every time they put out a record, it was completely not what the last one.
Yeah, completely different.
And I remember every time I would get a new Faith No More record, I would be upset because I'm like, wow, this is not what I was just getting into.
Yeah.
And a lot of these records that I hated the first time I got them, I wasn't ready for them yet, and it took a while for them to like
some bands that are just
for me to get into that mindset and understand
get it. Yeah.
And
just like,
I mean, some bands do it's like a straight linear line to what they're heading. So there's some bands that like they start this way and then they just go this, and it's just like this steady path going up.
Yeah.
But then there's other bands that kind of like zigzag around.
They go all over the place.
I like the zigzag. I like the zigzag.
You got to experiment a little bit.
Right.
That's really it.
I mean, Prince,
yeah.
Prince used to say, you could never.
You can't, yeah.
Prince would be like ruling the top 40, and then he'd go into obscurity, and you'd be like, "Oh man, Prince is washed up," and it was like Prince would be like, "Nah, I got a hit in my back pocket," and then
don't worry about it.
Out there. Then he'd hit the shit again, and then he'd get weird.
It's crazy.
Yeah,
it's how it is, though. It's how like a lot of the bands were. Some bands, you just you hate one record at the time, and then years later you go back to it, and you're like, wow. This record's really good. I hated it.
I never write a band.
Yeah, I never wrote.
I never write a band off because of a bad record. I never write a band off because of 2 or 3 bad records. Now we start going into 4 or 5, then I'm just like, okay, that's what the band became, and
whatever. That's what it is.
Yeah, but I'm a fan of forgiving a band for a odd record or a bad record.
For sure. I'm the same way.
As long as they're trying to do something.
Exactly, same.
But,
so what else is there? Oh god, I was at the okay. Scott Lock. It's at the Austin show. Only time I've gotten to see Zao live. Oh, it was the Austin Living Sacrifice show.
Austin, yeah. Austin was cool.
Where was that? Was that that venue? Come and Take It Live.
Come and Take. Yeah. They're gone now.
No, they're there.
Are they back? Oh wait, one of the.
It used to be called Grizzly Hall, and then it changed into Come and Take It Live.
Was it one of the venues that we played on that Texas show is gone?
Was it Dirty Dog Bar? It's not gone now, but they might. I don't know.
What was the place in Dallas?
Dirty 30. Yeah, they're
gone.
Yeah,
and I think maybe the Houston venue's gone too.
What was it? Oh, was it?
That one.
Why am I drunk? Oh my God, Walters.
Yeah. I think
I love that place.
They were gone, I think, shortly after we played.
They went through, there was they had a hardship there. The owner passed away. Then they raised a good amount of money to like stay open, pay back taxes, but it just went under again. it just, yeah, it sucks. That was the one. I loved that place. Wasn't a nice place, but I don't know. I just got a good vibe there, and it was a cool spot. And there are shows at Walters that were always awesome. It was like that,
Yeah.
some cities just have those spots where it could be the shittiest venue, but it's just the spot, and like everyone just has a great time. But it wasn't even that.
I'm gonna say one that a lot of people say that's not a shitty venue, but it's kind of shitty. It's the White Rabbit. In San Antonio.
Yeah, it was a shithole.
Oh, such a shit.
The bathrooms? Oh, Lord.
Fucking amazing.
Oh, dude.
Fucking amazing.
White Rabbit was the spot in San Antonio.
And like
period.
No air conditioning. I remember and they would have these giant industrial fans
that
they
was
would just
the
put
AC.
in the doorway to like try to suck the air out.
Yeah.
Oh, and it was just, but every show there was incredible.
Dude, White Rabbit, what?
But yeah, shitty
how it
dive.
happened.
I mean, but we always look forward to.
There was remember the Club Crandall at the Chance? That little venue underneath? Yeah. I mean, that was, 150 cap room and going the show, it was it was just a bar and a tiniest stage ever. AC doesn't work when there's 150 people plus in there. And it was just a sweat box, but we'd cram like 300 plus in there. I remember having like Converge in there, going to see Converge in there, between the Bear to me in there. I mean, the list goes on. I saw Paramore in that fucking room. I mean, crazy shit. But those were like the best spots to go to. That's it.
Wait, someone was just saying about Ground Zero?
South Carolina. That's my friend Corey. He lives in South Spartanburg.
Ground Zero. Was that the place that it was like kind of looked like an old barn?
Kind of.
Did it have like a barn?
I've been to the old Ground Zero. And then
was there a strip club across the parking lot from it?
Corey, let him know. I know he'll tell you. He lives right. I think Corey, you live in Greenville, South Carolina, right? Did you guys play the Radio Room? Did I have you play the radio? Yeah,
yes,
Worm.
That was one of our favorite shows we played in a long time.
That fucking venue rules. That dude.
That venue ruled. That show was amazing. That was where we saw the band Waft.
Waft, yeah.
Oh,
good band. Yeah, Worm did a split with them.
It was us, Worm, and Waft at that show. And we're just like, and
sick.
Yeah.
Oh, dude.
And I just remember. It's rare that Dan gets really visibly excited about it.
I could see that with Dan because I've only talked to Dan a little bit, like here and there, but I could see him be that way.
He is a fan of stuff, but it's like, especially before we play, he likes to sort of keep to himself as much as how he can. And I remember that show when Waft kicked in, he was like right at the front of the stage, and I could see he was up there rocking out. He rarely does that. And then as soon as their set was done, he went over and bought a hat that he wears to this day.
Wow.
And I'm like, that band made an impression on Dan.
They're a good band. That's awesome. Oh, I think my audio isn't synced. That's weird. Why wouldn't it be? Oh, because I'm using the Skype video?
Yeah, but I am.
Yeah, but it's showing that it's synced. Kind of. I don't know. What's up, Joel?
Oh, Insect Warfare at Walters. Jeez.
What was that? Insect Warfare?
Somebody saw Insect Warfare sold out at Walters.
Okay. Damn. Yeah.
So Dan and I also are very big Insect Warfare.
Oh, really? Fans. I don't know if I've ever listened
Apparently
to that.
Dan's kids are really into Insect Warfare.
Really? Dan's kids are?
Yeah. It's like,
I feel like I know
7 and
Insect Warfare. I feel like I know who this band is. The name sounds familiar. This artwork looks familiar too. 2009. I'm going to listen to this after we go off. That artwork is insane.
They're completely. It's like completely over the top. Like
just
noise
grind shit. We're the earache band.
Amazing.
I'm going to listen to that after. I'll pay you.
Fiction We Live front to back. Ooh, 10 grand.
He's a promoter in the Bay Area. He probably would pay you that.
Oh. I mean, I know Zao. Zao is really anti front to back album things. I don't know if From Autumn to Ashes is so much.
Nah.
I don't know. I'll bring it up. Bring it up to the guys.
That'd be cool to see, dude. That would be rad. I love that fucking Fada record.
I don't think there's any songs on the Fiction We Live that are on a From Autumn to Ashes blacklist.
No.
So I think that's
What are the blacklist songs? I don't think I've ever heard anyone call like any songs the blacklist songs. That's funny.
I mean, I think every band has like those songs that you're like,
Well,
don't even
yeah,
bring it
yeah, we're
up.
not playing that. We're not
Like,
doing
we're
it.
not.
Was
I'm
it?
trying to think. I know there's a couple From Autumn to Ashes songs on Holding a Wolf that are distinctly because
Okay.
they're really brutal to pull off in terms of like range wise for Fran
Uh,
live in the context of a
yeah,
set.
yeah, I
So
get
it's
it.
just like
It's
sometimes
too.
I can't play that song every night.
Yeah, it's
So
gonna be
like, and
rough for
sometimes we
them.
leave it
I can
off.
I can understand
I know
that.
there's some Abandon Your Friends songs that are like, nah, we're not doing that. There may even be some Too Bad You're Beautiful
I could see
songs that are
that
like,
too. The first,
don't put that in the set. We don't want to do
yeah.
it. I don't remember if Fiction has those or not.
Fiction's a great record. I like all the records, but the Fiction.
Again with From Honor to Ashes, I can approach a lot of it as an
Yeah, I
outsider.
know exactly. You
Uh,
can.
it's my least favorite From
Is
Honor to
it?
Ashes record. It
I
really
mean, I
is.
like Too Bad You're Beautiful. I'll never not love that record.
Oh, Too Bad You're Beautiful
It's
is
just,
completely
it's
ridiculous.
insane.
Nothing on it makes
No, and
sense.
I just
None
love
of
it.
the structures make sense.
No.
Those songs are so fun to play live.
I love that record.
We do play a lot of them, and we've dug out ones. There's that one song, "The Switch,"
Yeah.
that we played on the 2015 tour that hadn't been played in
Oh wow.
ages. And Fran and I were like, "Let's play The Switch," and like brought it out.
Wow.
Uh, yeah, Too Bad You're Beautiful. Like, I don't know, there's something about it doesn't sit right with me.
I mean,
I'm actually like, I like Abandon Your Friends more, which is an entirely unpopular opinion for a lot of
yeah.
people. But I like Abandon Your Friends because it's so
It's
weird.
crazy.
It's such a
It
weird,
is. See,
schizophrenic
that's a record from from Mom the Ashes that when it came out, I was just like, I don't understand here. Because I mean, that was a long time. I was still young then too. But then,
And we don't play a lot from that record, but the songs that we do play, it's just like, oh, these songs work really well live,
yeah,
and like we're all into them. I think Holding a Wolf by the Ears is my
is
favorite,
it?
and that was why I joined the band. When they asked me to join, when they're like, "This is the record we just finished mixing," and I'm like,
I
"Okay,
like this. Yeah,
I'll be a part of
yeah.
this. This is
That's the
down
one
my
that sold you to be in the band.
yeah,
Pretty
it was
much.
down my wheelhouse."
That's rad. Ben and Your Friends also had less airplay on from Mom the Ashes. I remember. I could see that.
Yeah, it was kind of a sleeper record.
Yeah.
It
Oh,
was.
thanks, Joel. Subscribe. Oh, okay, cool. You gifted a sub. Nice. I can't wait to hear the new Zao shit.
But
Bro.
I mean, the same reason that I say "Abandon Your Friends" is one of my favorite from Autumn Ashes records. One of my favorite Zao records that I'm not on is "Parade of
Is it?
Chaos," for the same
Yeah.
reasons. Whereas it's like it's just a
So
totally schizophrenic, bizarre,
all over the place.
like no other record sounds like
Yeah.
that. Like,
Dude, Zao has a
kind
lot.
of
Like, it's crazy because I was like certainly like I listened earlier today. I was listening to Funeral of God because it's been a while, probably since I listened to that record. Then I started listening to Where Blood and Fire Bring Rest, which I love, and then those two I got through today. But I've been wanting to like circle back and just like listen through the whole discography, which I'm gonna start doing.
I'll send you one of those Blood and Fire vinyls.
Oh, that'd be sick, dude. I would love that.
I think I
Do you have
have a Funeral of God.
Yeah, let me know.
Still, if I haven't sent.
I'll send you some money for the shipping. That would be fucking sick.
Eh.
Man. I don't care. That'd be cool to do though, like an anniversary for fucking From All Nations Fiction We Live. I would enjoy. Dude. If you guys did a fucking playthrough of an album, I would love Too Bad You're Beautiful.
Well, I think the other thing too is like it's weird because if you do a playthrough of Too Bad You're Beautiful, like do people expect Ben to show
Yeah,
up? Like,
yeah, I get that.
And I think that's why, like, we've talked about doing a Holding a Wolf by the Ears playthrough because that is a distinctly Fran record. And where
Yeah,
we're
that
at.
is. Are you guys still good with Ben? Is that touchy?
I
don't know
whatever that. I have no opinion on Ben because I never had interactions.
Oh,
with Ben.
okay. So you don't.
The only reason I'm in the band is when Ben left and Fran
switched,
basically took over the
vocals, frontman,
pulled the Phil Collins and moved to the stage. So I have no issues with
Yeah.
Ben. I mean, I know I've talked baseball and New York pizza with Ben,
Oh, really?
like on like Facebook, like because
You
we're
still
like mutual friends with like Rich Hall and
Oh,
stuff.
okay.
Um, I know that Fran and Brian had different issues with Ben when he
Oh, all
left.
right.
I think a lot of that is like water under the
Yeah,
bridge.
maybe probably at this
I
point.
think I think honestly at this point Ben has his life going on, and the reason Ben doesn't want to do the band now is the reason that Ben walked
Yeah,
away. Ben doesn't want to be the
he's
singer
just
of a hardcore band
yeah. It
anymore.
happens.
Um,
It happens though.
and I will give you this little bit of
Yeah.
trivia. When From Autumn to Ashes did those reunion shows back in 2015, Fran had some legal problems in Michigan.
Oh,
We had to cancel some
no
shows.
way.
Uh,
Yeah.
yeah, he basically it it came out. He had a marijuana farm in Michigan. It was a legal,
Oh,
licensed medicinal marijuana
yeah.
farm. Uh, Basically, what happened was the county he was in, Lapeer
Uh huh.
County, the sheriff there, the county basically didn't want legalized marijuana, and basically had some rogue sheriffs that were basically cracking down on people
Yeah.
that were essentially like what would be the equivalent of like a code violation,
Uh,
and they
they
nabbed him.
nabbed them for that.
They
Fuck.
nabbed him on some minor things that they were trying to charge him with felonies for.
Damn.
He went through a whole big to do. And while we were in the process of doing those shows, he was having these legal issues.
Fuck, dude.
And we were doing that. The big thing that we were united for was that Amnesia
Yeah,
Festival
I
up in
remember that.
outside of.
Yeah, yeah.
That
Amnesia
was the big
Vague.
thing that got us to
That
reunite.
was yeah. Okay, that
There
makes
was a
sense.
period of time where we didn't know if Fran could get across the
Because he
border,
had legal issues going on. Yeah.
and because he ended up taking a plea deal.
Oh.
He pled guilty to some misdemeanors
Yeah.
to make it go away.
Yeah.
So it's like, how do we get this guy who's basically has a
Yeah.
record
Across the
across
border.
the
Yeah.
border? So we didn't know until we got to the border whether he was going to get across the border,
Fuck, man.
and the entire reunion was built on that. Fran actually reached out to Ben and said, "Ben, if I can't get into Canada and can't do these
Can you?
shows,
Yeah.
will you go sing?"
Wow.
Ben said
He
no.
said, yeah.
He didn't. He said he's like it's because he's like I don't want to
Yeah.
do it.
Yeah.
He's like I don't want
Sometimes.
to. I don't feel
Yeah.
it. I'm
I'm
not
not
feeling
feeling
it.
it.
I don't
Yeah.
want to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sometimes.
So
Sometimes it's just like that. So
yeah. And I think at this
grow out
point
of it.
everybody's cool. Like everyone
Yeah.
talks. Like
It's all just water under the
it's
bridge.
just
Whatever
yeah. When
happened.
everyone's like get Ben back, and it's like well Ben
He just doesn't
doesn't
want to do
really
it.
want to come
Yeah.
back. Like, what are you
Yeah.
gonna do?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, that's right.
I think if Ben were to come back in some
Maybe like a
context, you'd probably see him and Fran
yeah,
singing.
like he'd come out and
Like
do a
and it would
song
be
with
like a
him.
guest,
Yeah,
yeah.
maybe like one of his favorite songs he'd
Um,
come out and do.
yeah, I don't think anyone's opposed to that,
Oh
and
man. Yeah.
but yeah, I think it's just what it
Yeah.
is. Everyone's cool.
Someone with the beer Jesus, 12 Tribes. Remember that band? I like that band a lot.
Yeah, I think Sayo did shows at 12
Yeah,
Tribes
that would make sense. They were a fair band.
on one of the Ferret
Yeah,
tours.
yeah, they were a fair. Yeah, I liked that band a lot back then. I remember at first I wasn't really about them, and then I remember listening to them more, and I was like, I really like this. Oh, was that a tour? Caliban? Wait, hold on. Yakuza? Who is that? Why does that name sound familiar? Yakuza?
Oh, yeah, it's a Beer Jesus. That's a dream tour for you, but I
Oh,
gotta play.
oh, he has a dream toy. Yeah. Himza, man. I remember seeing Himza with the Black Island Murder. That was great. So many good shows back in the day.
Black Dahlia. Yeah,
Dude,
yeah,
yeah.
those guys are still
Still
kicking.
kicking. Biggest record.
Still
Their new
kicking.
one, biggest record. Fucking crushing it. Good people, too. Trevor's the man. I don't know, have you ever met them?
I remember us. Oh, I remember we played. I don't remember what tour it was on.
Hmm.
Would it have been the? Oh shit! I remember playing a show at the Palladium in
Yeah.
Worcester. Zao was on tour, on a package tour, but there was another tour that was out, and it combined for a one-off show.
Okay.
It's Worcester Palladium. And I'm trying to remember who was on it, but I distinctly remember Black Dahlia Murder was on it and Napalm Death.
Oh, wow.
So it's Black Dahlia, Napalm Death, Zao.
That's right.
Could it have been the? I don't know. I want. Part of me doesn't want to think it was the In Flames Trivium thing. I don't think it was that.
I mean, those three
Maybe
bands alone.
Throwdown.
Who? Throwdown?
Zao, Throwdown.
Oh, wow. With Black Dahlia Murder,
Because
Napalm?
Zao was out with Throwdown, Evergreen Terrace.
Holy shit.
Oh man,
that's crazy.
Yeah, I don't remember. I just remember Black Dahlia Murder played before Zao, and then Napalm Death played after us. And I remember watching both Napalm Death and Black Dahlia Murder with my jaw on the floor.
Wow. Oh yeah.
Oh shit, I can't remember what that was. It wasn't a metal fest.
No, just like
but it was almost like a mini one day off. It became metal.
They just
fest
combined it
at the Palladium.
Cannae, remember that band Cannae? Cannae. I remember them, but I can't hear them in my head. You know what I'm saying? Like you could. I can't. I remember that fucking band. Cannae. Are they on spot? They are. Wait, is this them? Oh
Throwdown.
Yeah. Throwdown, baby. I love Throwdown. Oh yeah, they were a prosthetic band, Cannae. Dude, Throwdown. Oh yeah. When Haymaker came out, Christ, that was it. I wasn't even straight edge.
Zao's last official tour before we took the break was Throwdown.
Really? It was like the last
Zao, Throwdown, Maylene. I think that might have been Evergreen Terrace too, and Maylene and the Sons of Disaster. I remember it was really funny because my last tour with Zao was with Maylene and the Sons of Disaster. My first tour with From Autumn to Ashes was with Maylene and the Sons of Disaster.
That's crazy. What a coincidence.
I remember running to the Maylene guys. I'm like, "What are you doing here?" I'm like, "Oh, playing drums with From Autumn to Ashes."
That's awesome. Yeah, a lot of
the last. I distinctly remember the last Zao show in our official touring capacity was in Lancaster, California.
Oh wow, I remember. Yeah,
I can't remember what the venue. I can't remember what the
was.
Venue
it an actual venue though? Oh,
yes.
It was. They had an actual venue.
An actual venue. I remember it was. It almost looked like a mini Electric Factory in the sense that like there was like that weird balcony that like, but there was like the stage. And there was like this weird scaffolding balcony above it. I just remember we played that show, and someone threw a like hunting knife on stage. Like a fucking like serrated like Bowie.
Oh man!
While
you're playing,
threw the knife. Yeah, and it like landed on the stage, and Dan like saw it mid song, picked it up. I didn't see the knife land on stage. I just saw Dan walking towards the drum riser with it in his hand while he's singing with his crazed look in his eyes, and just stabbing it into the drum riser. And I'm like, where did Dan get the knife?
Where did this come from?
After the show, Dan's like, yeah, someone threw that fucking knife on the stage.
Oh my.
And I just stuck it in the drum riser so that I knew where it was.
Yeah.
And then I remember Dan had to fly back home. It was the last show of the tour in Lancaster, California. Dan and Scott flew home after the show because they had to go to a wedding. And me and Marty and our tour manager drove from Lancaster, California to Pittsburgh, PA, nonstop. To get home.
Oh, man. I've done 2 cross.
And we got pulled over in Dumas, Texas for weed.
Dumas? Duhast?
Dumas, Texas. It's up on the northernmost like little block on Texas.
Like near Oklahoma?
As you're crossing over. Almost. Right there? Like you just passed a little tiny bit of Texas.
Yeah. Wow.
We got pulled over because our merch guy was smoking weed outside of a gas station. And they wanted to rip our van apart.
Did they or no?
No, our tour manager was like playing dumb about it, and he's like, I think one of the guys in the band might have weed in the band. They're like, if you tell us where the weed is, it'll save us a lot of trouble. And he like called Dan, like this false phone call, like, Dan, do you know where you put that weed? He's like, what are you talking about? And he's like, oh, it's in the side door. And like, we handed it to them. They're like, all right, thanks for saving us paperwork. You can go on
Oh
your way.
wow.
But they would have impounded the
Oh
van and
yeah.
like ripped it apart.
It would have fucked up that whole trip.
But
Even
we had to play dumb.
yeah.
Like, oh yeah, we think one of our guys might have left some in the
Yeah.
van. Let me call and find out where it
And they were
is.
just like fine with it. That's
And they let us
crazy.
go.
Yeah, Texas is hard on the weed, man. I've had bands get fucking stopped, get stopped and searched for the weed, and then they have to fly back here for court, and it's a whole
Right?
fucking thing.
Yeah, you don't want to get pulled over for weed in Texas.
Just like get rid of it.
And we knew that.
Yeah.
We knew that. It was like we had this like new merch
That's what
guy
it
on
is,
this particular
yeah.
tour. And we were like, we literally stopped to gas up, and he was like, "I'm gonna light up by the front door," and someone was like, "Hey, there's somebody
This
smoking weed, and they look
town
like
in
they
Texas.
might be in a band."
So you don't do that.
Don't fuck around
Nah,
in Texas.
you can't. You can't. Still, you can't. Same with Oklahoma. You can't. With all that shit. Cool, man. This has been awesome. I'm happy you wanted to do this. I've been starting to be like, I started diving into Twitch more like when this whole pandemic happened, because it was always like a platform that I wanted to look into, but I never really had the time to, like really explore it. And I have a bunch of friends who stream and stuff, like Joe from Fit for an Autopsy, Jason, the singer from Ingested, this other band I work with, and a bunch of other people. And it's awesome. It's really fucking cool, And I've been, telling other bands, I'm like, if you have the time to look into it more, you should look into it. You have any guys that game and stuff like that, it's great for that. But this is something I wanted to do, like, other than me, like, gaming, which I only stream like a few different games, but was just like bringing like friends or bands that I work with on here and just bullshit and talk about whatever we want to talk about and have a good time for like an hour or two, and that's it. But
I know like Scott in particular loves to do these kind of things too.
I haven't talked to Scott in a minute. Yeah. So it always used to. At first, it was you and Scott always just in the email. So it was always like you, and then it just like went to you, which is fine. I mean, it happens. It's always like it always comes down to one guy.
We all rotate around. I know. Like Russ has been getting into it more.
Yeah, I gotta talk to him.
Dan's the hard guy to track down.
He's. Dan's I know.
He's an enigma.
I gotta get tattooed by Dan. I gotta come up. Where is he in Pittsburgh? Is this?
He's outside of Pittsburgh. Cool. Yeah. Oh, but I mean, seriously, like the thing is too, like your family.
Yeah.
Like we're all there. Like if you came into town, like
it'll happen.
One of us will put
Thank you. I appreciate that.
One of the guys will put you. Well, Dan will take
I can't wait. I can't wait to like just start traveling again. I'm like itch. The itch is real. I'm like, I told my girlfriend, I'm like, you're off. I think she's off Saturday or something. I'm like, we're just gonna drive somewhere. I need to drive. I need to go. We need to go on like we'll take the pup with us, Rosie with us, and we're going out for like the whole day. We're just gonna find.
I mean, you can drive.
Oh yeah, I know. Yeah, we just haven't really. I don't know. It's just been like, she works a good amount, and being with the hospital and stuff. It's just been, I don't know. And on days that she's off, she's just tired, which I get.
What I mean, she says she's at the hospital. Like, is she in the thick of stuff?
Yeah, I mean,
like,
they're making her like go to the like adult hospital. She's works at the children's hospital, but now they have her going up.
Okay.
And it's shit's getting pretty. Shit's kind of real here in Texas. Same with Florida.
Yeah.
Oh
yeah.
It's.
Oh, I mean, I don't think a lot of people didn't understand. Like when I was in the thick of things when we were up in New York. Where I was in Brooklyn, the main hospital in Brooklyn, where they were doing like when they were talking about like, oh, we have like refrigerated trucks showing up to pick up bodies. Yeah. The one in Brooklyn was like 5 blocks from my house. Like we were literally like for 2 months we nonstop sirens, like ambulance.
Nonstop.
Like you just got used to it.
Wow, man.
Like you just got used to ambulance. Like people. Like they just couldn't keep up. Like just nonstop ambulance, paramedics, rushing people to the hospital. Yeah. It was a thing, and I don't think people understood it. And like now, where we're at in Florida, like we're watching that the helicopters.
Oh,
like the med helicopters.
Yeah.
Like there was one point last night, there were literally like four of them, like crisscrossing around. And we're like, yeah, this is
Like
what we were dealing with in New
constantly.
York, and no one believed us. Like no one believed us. Like,
Yeah, it's very frustrating. A lot of people just don't fucking
yeah.
get it, you know.
I mean, when we first came to Florida, I mean, we did our
Yeah, you had to
lockdown
quarantine, right?
for a couple of weeks, and I remember the first time I made a grocery
Oh,
run, and I had my mask, and like I was like ready to
yeah.
go, and I walk in, and everyone was looking at me like I was from Mars because I had a mask
Oh
on,
my
because it
God.
was like hey, we're in Florida. I mean, we're wide open, like
No one was wearing
like
them. Yeah,
now
it's
now.
insane.
And now it's like out of control,
Yeah.
and it's like yeah, it's like I just got out of this
Yeah,
situation.
it's you know.
Now New York's more open
Then
than
Florida,
what
right? Yeah.
I feel more comfortable going out in Brooklyn
Yeah,
right now than I would.
probably. Fucking hell, man. But hopefully,
Yeah,
yeah, we'll get through it. Get back to
yeah.
whatever the normal will be.
Your
That's
mask.
wear your fucking mask, please. It's not hard.
What I like I know Dan now. Dan has his like he got like his mic, like he has like a
Oh, like his
microphone,
own.
and like he might have gotten
Yeah,
two
no, it's a
that he
good
like
idea.
brings. And I think I think he was even saying he's like, yeah, my days of mic passing those are
Gone.
done.
Yeah, that's it's
Like,
there's the those things are gonna change. Things like that. It's gonna be a little different, kind of weird. But well,
I mean,
no.
we've been a little. I mean, we don't get nuts about it
Okay.
yet, but when given the option, if we have a way that we can keep people off the stage, we opt
Yeah, because you
for it.
guys go wild on
Because like
stage.
now, Russ and Scott's pedal boards are getting so ridiculous that they're like, I don't want people breaking this
No.
stuff. So we might find that like, yeah, the stage isn't open
Yeah, it's
anymore.
not a
Like,
sorry. It's what it is.
yeah,
Well, cool, man. I appreciate it.
all right.
Seriously.
Hey,
And
Sam,
yeah, we'll
anytime.
talk soon and talk Zayo plans. Hopefully sooner than later for next
Awesome.
year. All right, man. Well, have a good rest of your day. I'll talk to you soon.
Hey,
Hey,
man,
take
take
care.
care.
All right, awesome. Thank you, everyone. And I'm gonna raid a channel right now. Let's see who's on. You guys can't see my video at the moment, but let's go raid Brody from Rivers of Nile. Everyone, stick around. We're gonna go raid Brody. Sorry you can't see me, but Brody Rivers of Nile. Everyone, follow him, and we're about to raid him. Let's go. Here we go.